يرفع الله الذين آمنوا منكم والذين أوتوا العلم درجات. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد. Alhamdulillah, this is lesson number 2 from going through the book الدروس المهمة لعامة الأمة by الشيخ العلامة عبد العزيز بن باز رحمه الله تعالى. Going through the book important lessons for every Muslim or important lessons for the general Muslims by الشيخ العلامة عبد العزيز بن باز رحمه الله تعالى. So last week we took the introduction. So inshallah in the beginning of today's lesson we will we'll quickly revise what we have taken previously. So Ammar, tell me why do we study this book?
And firstly, the scholars are advised to study this book, and secondly, it's important lessons that every Muslim needs.
Yeah, so it's important, just like its name. It's important. Okay, what if somebody says that, you know, the title, I know in English it says every Muslim, but in Arabic, Ammat al-Ummah means like the general Muslims. So these are important, they're important, yes, but for the general Muslims, not for me. I'm a student of knowledge, I've memorized Mutun, Talib al-Ilm, etc. So this book isn't for me. What do you answer me?
Firstly, a person should humble themselves, and as the Mujahid said, a shy and arrogant person will not attain knowledge. And secondly, the person will be tested to see if they fully understand and comprehend the contents of the book.
Yeah, so we'll say, okay, we'll test him. So if he knows what's in the book, then khalas, that's fine. But if he doesn't, then that shows that he's lower than the level of general Muslims, because he thinks that he knows and he doesn't know, which is worse than just saying that you don't know. Okay, Roshan, what is this book that we're going to go through? What does it consist of? What are different topics?
The book consists of different sciences. It has aqidah, fiqh, manners, and I don't know what else I'm missing.
Okay, that's like really general. But how is the book split with the 7 points that we mentioned?
How the book was split?
Yeah.
I don't think
I think in English it's titled "What This Book Consists of" or something like that. We'll check it in a bit. But there are 7 points. The first was the way of the Salaf when it comes to the Quran.
The way the Salaf were with the Quran, tafsir, or
that's part of it.
Oh, surahs that everyone should know.
Yeah, that's part of it, because from the way of the Salaf is that they would learn the surahs and understand them and act upon them, and that's what we're doing. You know, we're going to go. So that's the first part is the Quran, the surahs, etc. Then, Ustaz Ammar.
An explanation of Islam, Iman, Ihsan.
That's number 2.
Third one, and the Salah. And the fourth one is the wudu, and the rest of the remaining pillars.
Okay.
Fifth one was mannerism.
Right.
Sixth one was about warning against shirk and the categories of sin. And the seventh one was preparing and the dead body and funeral prayer.
Yeah, so these are the 7 ways. Okay. And why do we start with the basmala, Ammar?
Because the Quran and the Sunnah of the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did so. And secondly, because of the hadith of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, even though it's weak, where he says, and every important matter which doesn't start with the basmala is deficient. Thirdly, the scholars and the early Salaf started with the books and lessons with the basmala, and fourthly, to seek lessons from it. Okay,
yeah, alhamdulillah. In Arabic, you know the point that you said with the hadith. In Arabic, just for those that want to practice Arabic or are reading the Arabic explanation, you'll find that the word is isti'nasan. Or you might hear وَالْمُؤَلِّفُ يَسْتَأْنِسُ بِهَذَا الْحَدِيث. What that basically means is that we don't depend upon that hadith in of itself. Yasta'nis, in English, like you kind of like use it as like a secondary, a backup. You use it as more comfort. That's what the word kind of means, comfort, in that sense. So Ibn Rajab did this quite a few times, he does it in Jam' Ulum al-Hikam, and even from the Ilm al-Salaf, he did it a few times, where he mentioned the authentic hadith or the authentic dua, and then other narrations which might be weak, but we already have the authentic one there. Okay, so regarding the basmala, we already have it. It is a sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is a sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then anything else would be yasta'nisu or nasta'nisu biha. Okay, and why? Okay, how did the Salaf? How were they with the Quran, Ammar?
And they will first memorize 10 ayats, understand it, and then act up it, and move on to the next 10 ayats.
Okay, and which tafsir should we start off with?
With Tafsir al-Sa'di.
Why?
And because the scholars advised with it, it's concise, its meanings is not ambiguous, it's very easy to understand, and is very easy to act upon, and emphasizing on the oneness of Allah.
Okay. And Roshan, tell me the 3 types of people when it comes to the Quran.
The 3 types of people are people who are negligent, people who are in the middle, the path of the Salaf, and the people who are extreme. The people who fall short are the people who they don't memorize, they totally abandon the Quran. And the people in the middle, who are the people of the Salaf, the path of the Salaf, they memorize and they understand, and they memorize, they understand, they act upon it. And the people who are the extreme, in the far end, the people who memorize it but it doesn't go past them, they don't understand it. And I believe Sheikh Haytham Sarhan, he mentioned that this was the Khawarij, those people who do that.
The hadith is referring to the Khawarij now. Okay. Right. There were a few questions. But at one point I wanted to mention, I just looked here and I realized in Arabic here it says amma ba'd. Amma ba'd. In English did not translate it. Okay? Let me have a look. It says وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد فهذه كلمة. Yeah, the word أما بعد is not there. So in English, أما بعد is normally translated as to what precedes, and what basically is أما بعد in Arabic is used when you want to move on to a different topic. So in the beginning is praising Allah, sending salutations upon the Prophet. Now you want to start your speech, so you say أما بعد. Okay, and this is the Prophet ﷺ used to do this a lot in his khutab and in his writings. And it's mentioned in more than 30 hadith. I think Ibn Hajar quotes one of the ulama in the Fath al-Bari who counted 32 different sahabi quoting this hadith, or quoting the Prophet starting with Amma Ba'd, 32. And it is said that maybe the first one who used this was Dawud alayhi salam. Was the ayah وَآتَيْنَاهُ الْحِكْمَةَ وَفَصْلَ الْخِطَابِ. Fasl al-khitab, and differentiate between speech. From what I remember, there are 2 tafsir. One is that he was able to differentiate between truth and falsehood, and some ulama have said that it's this word amma ba'd. Ala kulli hal, the point being is that amma ba'd is the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, which we should incorporate as well. And from there we learned that the sunnah is the word amma ba'd, not wa ba'd or wa fa amma ba'd, wa amma ba'd. The sunnah is amma ba'd. If somebody says something else, it's not bid'ah, it's not like an act of worship in of itself, but obviously we should stick to the sunnah and stick with amma ba'd. Right. What page was the questions on? Page 40. Right. Okay. So these were a few questions that we had, and alhamdulillah, one good thing with this book is that after every small chapter, etc., there are always questions. So it's good. And sometimes if you miss anything on the explanation, it's added in here into the in the question. So class, both of you, Ammar and Roshan, you can speak. Okay, speak together, whoever knows the answer. What's the first one? Who's the author of the book?
Abdul Aziz ibn Baz.
Abdul Aziz ibn Baz. Why do we study the book? They are important. The scholars advise it. These lessons contain important topics which a Muslim needs. All of the above.
All the above.
All of the above. This book consists of the state of the Muslim regarding the Quran, praying, wudu, manners, warning and shirk, preparing the dead.
All the above.
All of the word. The Muslim should begin learning how to read, memorizing, and learning the meaning of Surah Alaq, Fatiha, Ikhlas.
Fatiha.
Fatiha.
Surah Fatiha. Okay, because Surah Fatiha, your salah is not accepted without it. Whereas, Surah Ikhlas, salah still can be accepted. This is a pillar of the salah. The people are divided into two extremes and the moderate. So two extremes, one on each side, and those in the middle, regarding reflecting upon the Quran and acting upon it.
True.
True. Which book of tafsir should a Muslim start with? Ibn Kathir, Sa'adi, Qurtubi?
Sa'adi.
Students should begin studying short explanations before long explanations.
True.
Students should begin reading the explanation of surah which they enjoy reading over and over, such as Surah Qasas, Maryam, Kahf.
False.
La. True.
Huh?
Yeah. You can start with the surahs that you enjoy. Don't worry. I know we've got the Qasar al-Mufassal, but that would be included in here because this is something which we all memorize and we read often anyway. And then after that, if there's any like surahs that you enjoy reading often, you learn them. You don't learn a surah that you don't read. The surah that let's say somebody likes Surah Mulk, learn Surah Mulk. Okay, and not saying there's no point, but if you go end up studying like a random surah which you're never going to read, compared to a surah which you read often, it's better to learn a surah. Don't worry, even when we were studying with Shaykh Haytham, we had a little, we had to ask the Shaykh regarding this. Right. Number 9, students may listen to audiobooks explaining the Quran if reading is too difficult for them.
True.
Yes, it's true. I mean, I showed you guys the Arabic for Sa'di. That's what Shaykh Haytham Sarhan showed us. I don't know if there's any in English. Okay. Number 10, the Prophet ﷺ discouraged from reading the Quran without reflecting upon its meaning.
True.
True, yeah. Okay. Right, I wanted to show you guys. Yeah. Right. Can you see this?
Yeah.
Okay. So this was sent in the group. One brother, mashallah, kind of he summarized what we took in the last lesson. So if I just zoom in, what does the book consist of? These are the 7 points. And he added a nice benefit here of Ibn Taymiyyah adding manners in Aqidah Wasatiyya right at the end. Why do we study the book? Ulama advise it, and the lessons are important. Why do we start with the basmala? The 4 reasons for that, and how the Salaf were when it came to the Quran, and the different types of people when it comes to the Quran. If we move, no, wrong way. Yeah, this is from the Tafsir Fatiha Qasar Mufassal one brother made. Why should we start with Tafsir Sa'di? And there are the 6 reasons there. All of these I'll send in the group, inshallah. And right, there's another video I wanted to show you guys, but I'll show you when we get there, inshallah. Right. So regarding the lessons now, I mean the lessons itself is very the first part is the tafsir of the Quran. So we've taken all of this, okay? We've taken all of this. Now we're going to move on to the first part, which is we started it, how the Salaf were with the Quran, and now we're going to go through Surah Zalzala to Surah Al-Fatiha. Shaykh mashallah added Ayat al-Kursi as well, because very important. And then Surah Zalzala to Surah An-Nas. And here we have the surah, and at the bottom we have Tafsir Sa'di in English. Tafsir Sa'di or Tafsir Sa'di in English. So what we're going to do, we've already explained this in detail. We're just going to read. We're going to get mashallah one of the brothers to read, inshallah. And I might just add a few benefits here and there. But we've taken this in depth. So I don't want to take too long in this. I don't want to take too long on these surahs. So today we're going to take the best surah in the Quran, which is Surah Fatiha, and then the greatest surah in the Quran, and then the greatest ayah in the Quran, Ayat al-Kursi, and then we'll see if we can take Surah Zalzala and Al-Adiyat. So start reading the first Surah Fatiha. Recite the surah first.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. So, okay. Selections from Taysir al-Karim al-Rahman fi Tafsir al-Kalam al-Manan by Abdul Rahman as-Sa'di.
Mannan.
Mannan.
That's the full name of Tafsir Sa'id. That's the actual name. And we spoke about this before. The actual names of like a lot of books, they're actually longer names. Like Bukhari, Al-Jami' Sahih, Al-Mukhtasar, till the end of it. But, you know, and even Tafsir, even like Tafsir Ibn Kathir, the actual name is Tafsir al-Quran al-Azim. And Qurtubi and Tabari, they all have like long names, but we just put the author's name to make it easy. So this is the actual name of Tafsir al-Sa'di now.
By Abdul Rahman as-Sa'di, may Allah have mercy on him, and questions about it. Explanation of the Makki Surah Al-Fatiha, the opening. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful, all praise and thanks are only for Allah, the Lord of everything that exists, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful, the owner of the day of judgment. You alone we worship, and you alone we ask for help. Guide us to the straight path, the path of those whom you have blessed, and not the path of those who angered you, nor of those who are lost.
We try to read a bit quicker, inshallah, because we've taken a little bit.
Okay. 1. This means I begin with every name of Allah, the Most High. This is since the word name is singular and in genitive form. Therefore, it includes...
The genitive form, for those that know, that's basically mudaf. Does not Arabic, mudaf mudaf. Genitive form basically means mudaf. I actually don't know what the English word means. I've just got Arabic in front of me. So in Arabic, it says ism mufradun mudaf. So it's mudaf. No.
It includes all of Allah's beautiful and perfect names. Allah, He is the God who is worshipped, the one deserving worship to the exclusion of everything else because of His qualities and divinity, all of which are perfect. The entirely no.
So this is the okay. Some may differ upon using the word God, but remember this book is for the general Muslims and it's meant to be easy. That's what the explanation just Tafsir Sa'di. And that's why our explanation, inshallah, will be, simple. We're not going to make it hard because the book isn't made for that. The one deserving of worship, this is, okay, to the exclusion of everything else. That's basically the, one definition of the word Allah. Al-Ma'luh, the one who is worshipped alone. Now, you might find other explanations, other aqwal, but they all revolve around this meaning now.
The entirely merciful, the especially merciful. These are two names proving that He, Most High, is the one who possesses a great and all-encompassing mercy that covers everything and includes every living being. He has decreed it for those who obey Allah, those who follow His prophets and messengers. These have unrestricted mercy. Everyone else has a portion of His mercy. Know that one of the principles agreed upon by the early scholars of Islam and their imams is to have faith in Allah and His attributes and in the rules determining how they are to be understood. So, for example, they believe that He is the entirely merciful and the especially merciful, possessing the quality of mercy which is extended to its recipients.
Okay, so this is like a qa'id in Asma wa Sifat, and we're going to take more qa'id in Aqidah Wasitiyya, inshallah. But this is basically that the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all of them, you can extract the sifa from it, the characteristic of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from it. And you can't do the opposite. So if something's a characteristic, it doesn't mean that you can call Allah by that name. You don't make that characteristic a name. But if it's a name, then you can extract a characteristic. So for example, here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ar-Rahman. Okay? So He's the most merciful. And from the characteristics is Him having mercy. They're going to give another example now. No.
Therefore, all blessings are from the results of this mercy. This principle holds true for all of His names. It is said concerning the name all-knowing, He is all-knowing,
Al-Alim.
He is all-knowing, possessing the quality of knowledge by which He knows everything. He is all-capable, possessing the quality of ability which makes Him capable of doing anything.
Okay, so all-capable is Al-Qadir. So this is showing the quality, i.e. the characteristic of the sifa of knowledge.
All praise and thanks is only for Allah. This verse praises Allah with His perfect attributes and His actions, all of which are based upon benevolence and justice. To Him belongs perfect and complete praise in every sense, Lord of the worlds. The Lord is the one who nourishes and sustains the whole of the creation, meaning everything besides Allah. By the very fact of His creating them, His preparing for them the means, and Him blessing them with immense blessings, the absence of which would make their existence impossible. Thus every blessing they possess, it is from Him, the Most High. His sustaining of the creation is of two types, general and specific. The general refers to His creating.
So this is the tarbiyah of Allah. The tarbiyah of Allah is two types, tarbiyah ammah wa tarbiyah khassa.
General and specific. The general refers to his creating the creation, providing for them, and guiding them to all that they need in order to survive in this worldly life. The specific refers to His sustaining His sincere slaves with faith, guiding them to submit to it, perfecting and completing it for them, keeping away from everything which may affect it. The reality of this is guiding them to every good and protecting them from all evil. Perhaps it was due to this that most of the supplications made by the prophets used by the word Rabb, all they requested was covered by His specific lordship, His saying, Lord of the worlds. He alone is the creator, and all affairs are regulated by Him, as is the provision of blessings. It also proves that He is completely rich beyond need, and the creation is in total and dire need of Him alone in every sense and in every possible way.
Okay, so here the tarbiyah is two types, general. So Allah nurtures and takes care of the whole creation. He feeds the non-Muslims as well. But that tarbiyah which is specific only for the believers, which is with iman and with guidance and so on. No.
Owner of the Day of Judgment. The master is the person who has the quality of ownership, from the consequences of which is the ability to command and prohibit, reward and punish, and to behave with his subjects and possessions in any way he wishes. The master of the Day of Judgment, the day of rising, the day on which man will be judged for his actions, the good and the bad. This is because on that day, the completeness and perfection of His mastery, justice, and wisdom will be made clear to all. Moreover, it will be the end of the worldly masters. So much so that kings, ministers, slaves, and the freeborn will all be the same. All of them submissive to His greatness, rendered in complete submission before His honor, expectant of His recompense, hoping for His reward, and fearing His punishment. The point of mentioning His mastery in this context is to emphasize it. Otherwise, He is the master of the Day of Judgment and all other days.
Okay. Just one point which I didn't mention regarding Rabbil Alameen. Sorry, just before that, he mentioned that's why maybe the word Rabb is the dua that the prophets would use. And we talked about this, if you guys remember, in Thalathatul Usul al-Thalatha, where we talked about the meaning of the word Rabb. And we mentioned the definition by Shaykh al-Islam. And towards the end of the definition, he mentioned that this is the one where Allah Ta'ala has the most right to be made dua with. And then we mentioned how many of the prophets will make this dua. Rabbi inni lima anzalta ilayya min khairin faqir. Rabbana zalamna anfusana. And so many du'as would be made with the word Rabb. And then the author, we talked about Maliki Yawmiddin. Now we're going to move on to Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in.
You alone we worship, and you alone we ask for help, meaning that we single you out alone for worship and seeking help. This is because mentioning the object at the head of the verb is the method of constraint, hasr, affirming what is mentioned in the sentence and negating it for anything that falls outside. Therefore, it is as if the person has said, we worship you and we do not worship anything else. We ask you for help, and we do not turn to anyone else for help.
Okay, so this is what we talked about this before. That why do we say Iyaka na'budu and not na'budu Iyaka? Why do we say it is you we worship, and we don't say we worship you? That you comes first. I mean, even in English, you alone we worship. They put the you right at the beginning. So yeah, so that's fine. So why have we done that? Like, no one really speaks of that. No one says you alone we worship. We say we worship you, but in Arabic, when you do that, then it shows exclusivity, meaning it is only you we worship. No.
Mentioning worship before asking for help is by way of mentioning the general before the specific, and to show that attention should be given to his right over the right of his slave. Okay. Worship. No.
So this is the second part. So why? Remember we talked about this before. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Nasta'een means to seek help. And na'budu is worship. Now, seeking help is a type of worship. So why do we mention worship first and seeking help later? To show that even though it's a part of worship, we need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help when we are doing this worship now.
Worship is a collective noun that subsumes all actions and sayings, outward and inward, that Allah loves and is pleased with. Seeking help, isti'ana, is to depend upon Allah Most High in acquiring that which would benefit and repressing that which would harm, along with having the certainty that He will actually assist the one asking.
So this is the definition of ibadah and the definition of isti'ana now.
Establishing the worship of Allah and seeking His help are means to everlasting happiness and security from all evil. There is no path to victory except by meeting the requirements of these two pillars. Worship can only be considered true worship when done in the way taught by the Messenger, seeking thereby only Allah's face. These two conditions have to be present for the action to be considered worship. Seeking help has been mentioned after worship, even though it is part of worship, because the slave is always in need of Allah's help in all acts of worship. If Allah does not help him, he will not achieve his goals. He will not achieve the goals he hopes to attain by enacting the obligations and avoiding the prohibitions. Now, guide us to and on the straight path means show us, direct us to it, and grant us the divine grace to traverse it. The straight path is the clear path that leads to Allah and His paradise. It is knowing the truth and acting by it. Therefore, the verse means guide us to the path and guide us in the path. Guidance to the path means to come to Islam and abandon all other religions. Guidance in the path means guidance towards all the details of Islam in terms of knowledge and action. Hence, this supplication is one of the most comprehensive and most beneficial supplications. And this is why it is obligatory to supplicate to Allah with it in every unit of prayer.
Okay.
No.
So here we've got the meaning of Ihdina Siratal Mustaqim. It means, oh Allah, show us the straight path, take us onto that straight path and keep us firm upon that straight path. And from here, that's why it has two main meanings. Okay, it shows Allah guide us to the straight path and guide us in the straight path. Okay, and when you guys to the kind of like put a line under this, because in one of the questions, a question will be asked about guidance. Okay, so you want to look at this basically. Now, and okay, and when you get to the question, inshallah, if there's more explanation needed, we'll explain it then. Now,
especially since the servant is in continuous need of it. This straight path is the path of those who you have blessed, who are the prophets, the sincerely truthful, the martyrs, and the righteous, not the path of those who have incurred anger, who knew the truth but abandoned it, such as the Jews and the others, nor the path of those astray, who abandoned the truth out of ignorance and misguidance, such as the Christians.
Yeah. So here, what is being mentioned here is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is warning us from being either from evil scholars or from misguided worshippers. Evil scholars are those who have the knowledge but they don't act upon it, and misguided worshippers that they worship without any knowledge. And this is Sufyan ibn Uyayna. He says, "Man fasada min ulama'ina kana fihi shabahu min al-Yahud." Whoever becomes corrupt from our scholars, then he has a likeness towards the Jews. Okay, from this ayah. وَمَنْ فَسَدَ مِنْ عُبَّادِنَا كَانَ فِيهِ شَبَهٌ مِنَ النَّصَارَى. And whoever has become corrupt from our worshippers, then he has a likeness towards the Christians. So this, even though this ayah is talking about the Jews and the Christians, it's not specific to them. Okay, it's also for us not to follow in their footsteps. We should have عِلْمًا نَافِعْ وَالْعَمَلُ الصَّالِحِ. We should have beneficial knowledge and righteous deeds, i.e. acting upon that knowledge. Somebody asked, has this PDF been shared before? It's been shared a number of times in the WhatsApp groups, and it's also in the Telegram group. Now, okay, so now we have the tafsir of the surah is finished. Now the Shaykh is going to summarize what we have taken in the surah, and he's going to mention basically 6 points. At each point, I'll let you know where a new point starts. So this is now the first point now.
Now, this chapter, despite being short, has covered what no other chapter of the Quran has. It mentions the three types of Tawheed: Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, oneness of Allah's Lordship, derived from His sayings, Lord of all the worlds; Tawheed al-Ilahiyyah, oneness of worship, which is to single out Allah alone for worship, derived from the word Allah, and from His saying, You alone we worship, and You alone we ask for help; and Tawheed al-Asma wa Sifat, oneness of Allah's names and attributes, which is to affirm the attributes of perfection for Allah Most High, which He has affirmed for Himself and His Messenger has affirmed for Him, without ta'atil, denying the attributes, or tamthil and tasbih, likening the attributes to creation, as is proven by His sayings, all praise and thanks, as already mentioned.
Yeah, so this is the first benefit, that this surah, this is the ulama, I think it was Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah, I forgot which book, but he says all the meaning of the whole Quran comes back in Surah Fatiha. And some have said all the Surah Fatiha can be even summarized in Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. But this surah is the greatest surah in the Quran for a number of reasons. From them is that this surah itself has all three types of Tawheed, which you have previously explained in the previous books. So this is the first point. Now we're going to move on to the next point now.
It also affirms prophethood in His saying, guide us to and on the straight path, because this guidance is not possible without a message. It affirms. No.
So that was number 2. Now we're going to move on to number 3.
It affirms recompense for one's actions in saying, Master of the Day of Judgment. And it affirms that this recompense will be established upon justice, because the meaning of deen is recompense founded upon justice.
Okay, now number 4.
No. It affirms qadar, the divine decree, and that the slave is the true performer of his actions, opposing the stances of the qadariyah, those who deny. No.
Yeah, so this is that was number 4, and this is because Malik Yawmiddin, Allah is the Master of the Day of Judgment. We will be held accountable for our own deeds that we have done from our own will. Okay, unlike the Qadariyah or the Jabariyah, which we can talk about that a bit more in Al-Aqidah Wasitiyah. Okay, now he's going to move on to number 5. No.
And Jabariyah, those who negate the will of the person. In fact, this surah refutes
number 5 starts from here, in fact. No.
Oh, okay. In fact, this surah refutes all the people of innovation and misguidance in His saying, guide us to and on the straight path, because this is knowing the truth and enacting it, and every innovator and a misguided person contradicts this.
Okay, and now finally number 6. No.
It enjoins making the religion sincerely for Allah in terms of worship and seeking help in His saying, You alone we worship and You alone we seek for help. All praise and thanks are for Allah, Lord of everything that exists.
Yes, so subhanAllah, this is a very nice tafsir. It's really, it obviously took a bit of time to read it, 10 minutes maybe, but if compared to like Tafsir ibn Kathir, which is, I don't know, tens of pages, it's kind of summarized everything. He summarized everything. Look how many benefits. And look how he summarized the surah at the end into like 6 other benefits from this surah. And he finished it very nice. Walhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Obviously, in the English can't really tell. Now, so that was Surah Fatiha. And we'll take Ayat al-Kursi as well. Ammar, you want to do Ayat al-Kursi?
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم.
Okay, I just want to point out we didn't take Ayat al-Kursi in the Tafsir al-Fatiha or Qisar al-Mufassal. However, I did do a separate lecture on it, which I have uploaded onto my channel, and I think it is in the description of the last lesson of Tafsir al-Fatiha, Qisar al-Mufassal. So if anybody wants my explanation or in-depth explanation, they can go to that. But Tafsir Sa'di will suffice. Also with Surah Fatiha, there were a number of things we didn't mention as well. We didn't mention some of the virtues of the surah, some of the hadith regarding it, like the hadith of Abu Sa'id al-Mu'alla or Abu Sa'id al-Khudri and others, okay? Or even some of the names of Surah Fatiha. It's called Al-Fatiha, As-Salah, Al-Ruqyah, and other than that, all of that, you know, you can go back to the previous book that we did. So, you know, Ayat al-Kursi is a similar thing. We're just going to read through Tafsir al-Sa'idi, and this is ayah number 255 from Surah Al-Baqarah. From Surah Al-Baqarah. Now.
Explanation of Ayat al-Kursi, the verse of Kursi. Allah, nothing deserves to be worshipped except Him, the ever-living, the sustainer of all existence. Neither drowsiness overtakes Him nor sleep. To Him belongs whatever is in the heavens and whatever in the earth. Who is it that can intercede with Him except by His permission? He knows what is presently before them and what will be after them, and they encompass not a thing of His knowledge except for what He wills. His Kursi extends over the heavens and the earth, and their preservation does not tire Him, and He is the Most High, the Most Great. 255. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has stated that this verse is the greatest verse of the Quran due to that which it compromises of Tawheed, completely singing of Allah alone without any partners in all acts of worship, and the many attributes of Allah, the Exalted, the inventor of all things. Allah informs us that He is Allah, meaning the one whom belongs worship in all its sense. None deserves to be worshipped except Him. Therefore, worshipping other than Allah is futile. He is Al-Hayy, the ever-living. To Him belongs all of the qualities of perfect life, including perfect hearing, vision, ability, will, and other attributes relating to His essence. He is Al-Qayyum, the sustainer. It entails all of His attributes describing His actions. He is independent and free of any need of His creation. He sustains all of existence.
Okay, so this, you know, being Ayat al-Kursi, we got the meaning of the word Allah. And Al-Hayy and Al-Qayyum, these, you know, some have said this is the greatest names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That if you make dua with, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not, you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept and will answer that dua. And I forgot to mention, the word Kursi itself means footstool. It doesn't mean chair. Okay, that's what Ibn Abbas radhiyallahu anhu mentioned. So even though in Arabic Kursi generally means chair, this means the footstool. Okay, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is above His arsh. Okay, but the Kursi is the footstool of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is like the canopy or the roof of the heavens. And Al-Hayy is, you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala perfect in His essence, and Al-Qayyum is Allah ta'ala being perfect in His actions. That's why these two are put together. Now,
He has originated everything into existence and has provided everything with sustenance and all the necessities for existence and survival. Due to His perfect qualities of life and sustainment, neither drowsiness nor sleep overtakes Him. Drowsiness and sleep only occur in the creation, which experiences weakness, extortion, and inability, and does not apply to the one of magnificence, greatness, and splendor. He informs us that He is the owner of everything that is within the heavens and the earth, so everything is possessed, slave of Allah. None can depart from this state. There is none in the heavens and the earth except that comes in, to the most merciful as a slave. Surah Maryam, ayah 93. So He is the owner of everything, and He is the one to whom belongs the attributes of dominion, authority, reign, majesty, and management of universal affairs. Due to His supreme rule and authority, none can intercede with Him except by His permission. All of the notable and distinguished intercessors are slaves belonging to Him. None can proceed with intercession until He permits them. Say, to Allah belongs all intercession. To Him belongs the dominions of the heavens and the earth. Surah Zumar, ayah 44. Allah does not allow anyone to intercede except intercession for Him. He is pleased with, and Allah is not pleased.
Except, yeah, so Allah does not allow. So, you know, from here we talked about Shafa'ah before in chapter number, in the second principle from Qad al-Arba', and we're going to take it again in chapter number 18 from Kitab al-Tawheed. I believe it's 18. And here we've taken the you know, Shafa'ah is two types: that which is affirmed and that which is negated. That which is affirmed, you know, that will happen. There's two conditions: permission and Allah being pleased. So Allah, you know, does not allow. Here we take the first principle that Allah has to give permission, and number two, Allah has to be pleased. Okay, and that's pleased with two types of people. Allah is pleased with the one who is doing the intercession, and pleased with the one whom the intercession is being done upon. And obviously that cannot be done with. Allah will not be pleased with somebody except that if he establishes the Tawheed and follows the messengers. Now,
And Allah is not pleased except with the one who worships him alone and follows all of his messengers. Therefore, whomsoever this does not apply is not entitled to any share of intercession. Then Allah informs us of his unlimited, all-encompassing knowledge. He knows the creation of infinite future events as well as what is behind them of unlimited past affairs. None concealed thing is hidden from him. He knows that which deceives the eyes and what the hearts concealed. Surah Ghafir, Ayah 19. None of the creation can encompass everything of Allah's knowledge and information except for what He wills.
Okay. Here we've learned that in the ayah, Allah knows ma bayna aydihim. Bayna aydihim means what is happening now and in the future. And wa ma khalfahum is Allah knows what has happened in the past. Now we're on illa ma sha.
Except for what He wills, what He has disclosed to them by different means, including prescribed and legislative affairs. Yet this is entirety still amounts to nothing with respect to the knowledge and information of the inventor Allah. This is affirmed by the most knowledgeable creations, Allah, the messengers and the angels. They said, "Exalted are you, we have no knowledge except what you have taught us." Surah Baqarah, Ayah 32. Allah then informs us of His greatness and magnificence, and that His footstool extends over the heavens and earth, and that He maintains the heavens and the earth and all of its inhabitants by means of causation and universal orders, which has been placed in the creation, while its preserve does not tire Him or burden Him, due to the perfection of His greatness, ability, and His abundant wisdom in His laws. And He is the Most High in His essence above all His creation, having risen over the throne, the Most High by the exaltedness and greatness of His attributes and His status. To Him belongs every perfect attribute of excellence, the Most High by His subjugation of the creation. All of existence submits to Him, even the stubborn and the obstinate are subdued to His subjugation. And He is the most great. He is the possessor of all qualities of greatness, magnificence, nobility, splendor, the one whom the hearts love and the souls glorify. The hearts of His prophets, angels, and His allies are in complete glorification of His majesty. This is none greater than Him. Those of knowledge and acquaintance recognize the greatness of anything and everything, even if it surpassed eminence and was considered indescribable, is still nothing compared to the greatness of the Most High, the Most Great. Clearly, this verse, which is comprised of such extraordinary meanings, entails to be the greatest verse of the Quran. The heart of the one who reads in contemplation and reflection while comprehending the meaning deserves to be filled with certainty, acknowledgement, and iman. Furthermore, by that he or she will be safeguarded from the evil of shaitan.
So this part I've highlighted is like kind of summarizing the ayah and what makes it the greatest ayah, and there's many ahadith regarding this, and some will come in the questions. Now I know today's lesson is a bit different to how we've done it previously, in the sense that I'm not really explaining too much, but it's more reading. And that's because I mean, when we did this book with Shaykh Haytham, actually he didn't teach us this part. He actually said, listen to yourself and fill in the questions and come to me just with the questions. That's all we were doing. So we only go to him for like 5 minutes and he'll check the questions, and if we have any questions we can ask, and then he'll say, all right, do the next one. We have to listen to it ourselves. But I know it might be difficult for everyone to listen to it themselves, so we're going to read it together, and I might just annotate here. And then because we've already taken the surahs, inshallah, it shouldn't be too hard. If the reading was too fast or you didn't fully understand it, you've got the book, just read it yourself, inshallah. And obviously, as a student of knowledge, you have to increase your reading. It's not just about listening, but you also have to read, and that is a very important skill for student knowledge to have. So we've taken today the greatest surah in the Quran, which is Surah Al-Fatiha, and the greatest ayah in the Quran, which is Ayah to al-Kursi. Now if we just go to the questions. But some people are saying Assalamu alaikum, Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. You don't have to say all of that in the lesson, inshallah. You've just joined us, so you don't have the PDFs. If you look in the group description of the WhatsApp messages, there should be a Telegram group there. Click on the Telegram group, and Telegram you can see all the previous messages, and you can look at them inshallah. So class, so as the questions inshallah, there's going to be quite a few. Surah Al-Fatiha, so page 40, from number 11 all the way, it's quite a bit. Okay, and don't worry, and then okay, so then Ayat al-Kursi as well, till Surah Zalzal, to page 47. So it's 5 pages, right? Or 6 page. Yeah. No. So page 40. Okay, so it's end of page 40. So like 6-7 pages, inshallah. And you guys do that. And in here, when you read it, we had the same question as well. You might see some things which is not specifically mentioned in the actual text itself. Okay, but some things might be just like known generally. Some things you might have to work out. Some things, you know, you might have to do a bit of research. It's not that much like hard research. It's simple questions. But you know, like generally, like for example, some of the names of the surah, you know, Imam Sa'id didn't mention them, but it's something which is like kind of generally known. So there might be a question regarding that. And don't worry if you find it difficult. We will go through the questions later, inshallah. You can't find it. Message on the admins, inshallah. We'll stop here بإذن الله. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.